As an elementary teacher, you really want your students to be engaged in their learning. So how can you make this happen when it comes to social studies? By using culturally relevant pedagogy with primary sources. Primary sources are first-hand evidence of the past. They highlight authentic voices and reflect multiple perspectives and cultures. They also facilitate students' own cultural competence, which is a key element of culturally relevant pedagogy, or CRP. CRP is a teaching framework established by Dr. Gloria Ladson Billings. There are 3 tenets to CRP. All students must experience academic success, develop cultural competence, and have opportunities to examine and critique the status quo. This video focuses on why primary sources work so well to support culturally relevant pedagogy.
Yeah, and I wonder what, is that the teacher?
They had their hands up, they were excited, they wanted to share their thinking, even like over an hour into this lesson.
What culturally relevant pedagogy does is it engages kids. It connects kids to their learning in a way that I have not seen any other kind of pedagogical framework do.
Have we changed enough? Have we changed?
I think that primary source work is essential to culturally relevant teaching, because if the emphasis is on authentic work, using authentic sources is a great starting point.
Tenet 1 of culturally relevant pedagogy ensures that all students experience academic success. One great way to do this is to present challenging primary sources that engage students and motivate them to choose academic success.
Primary sources support rigorous thinking and skills in the classroom because I don't give them anything. This is it. You have to think.
I don't generate the questions. The students generate their own questions.
When we teach students to choose academic success, they become lifelong learners.
Those photos, when they had to try to sort them, they really thought it was a challenge and they really want to talk about it.
This has nothing to do with busing. So maybe E is right there, but we just don't have enough information to know that that's right.
Maintaining high expectations for students is critical.
I can't have academically rigorous instruction unless I know my kids really deeply and I meet them where they are.
I always have high expectation for my students. All of them are different levels, you know, like they are learning at their own pace. All of them are engaged in the lesson.
We should not think that students aren't ready. We should expose them the primary source documents and just have conversations with them to develop their oral language skills. And the more they practice these skills, the better they get at it.
Tenet 2 of culturally relevant pedagogy ensures that students develop cultural competence. Primary sources can support this work by providing authentic connections that help students to develop their cultural competence.
Why do I use culturally relevant pedagogy? Because I think without it, students would feel invisible.
Students love learning and they love working, but only if they feel like it's purposeful and meaningful. That does mean, I think, being sensitive to and aware of students' cultures and who they are.
Primary resources, which is a good opportunity for students to get that first-hand account and understanding of different people's stories or perspectives.
Primary sources is that key, that opens that door of where they go, that young man took that primary source and all of a sudden he had a key and he unlocked that door to like this whole idea, possibility of who he is and all that he could be.
The main point is that is see what happened in history and that they can change that. Because they feel empowered and powerful in the classroom.
When we use students' culture in the classroom, it makes teaching and learning relevant for our students and also for us.
The reason why I began practicing culturally relevant pedagogy is I wanted to have an opportunity for folks to learn about different communities, especially those groups that maybe been historically underrepresented.
If we don't give our kids authentic text that tells their story, then their voice is not being valued in the space.
Primary sources help students connect to their own culture. I say this time and time again.
Basically offering kids opportunities and experiences to not only see a mirror image of themselves, but also to embrace and enjoy other people's cultures.
It's very intentional, and it is tailored to the students who are there. And so as your classroom changes, your curriculum needs to change in order to meet the needs of the students in front of you.
¿Esa era antes? No, ¿cuál es antes? ¿Y por qué es antes, Miriam?
Muchas personas en la escuela.
En la misma escuela, ¿verdad? Pueden estar.
It requires a decentering of knowledge. So, I as the teacher am not the knower of all. I recognize that my students are bringing knowledge. And so my job is to figure out how to connect what we're learning with who they are and what they know.
There's two different kinds of ways we could say it. They're African American or they're black. But I think the proper way would be African American.
They talk more than I do.
You have kids that are coming from different backgrounds. They learn from one another. It's not just me in the driver's seat.
Tenet 3 of culturally relevant pedagogy ensures classroom time for students to examine and critique the status quo. By engaging in rigorous primary source analysis, students can build the critical thinking skills needed to meet Tenet 3.
We have a responsibility for them to see the world, not just a classroom, not just their community.
I think that kids are especially observant, are justice and fairness minded. So I think that sensitivity makes them extra qualified to work with primary resources.
They are great observers.
When we teach students to question the status quo, we're teaching students to be aware of what is happening around them.
Kids tend to pick up on a lot of stuff that adults don't.
Photos are so great for this age. It's almost like a blank canvas. There's no writing, there's no biases that I'm going to give them. They are drawing their own conclusions.
I think that things are a lot more equal and, have a lot more equity. I think we can change even more.
In what way?
It allows students to really be in control of their learning. And then hopefully that will develop into being a leader or a thinker in their community and in the world.
I think when you get first-hand accounts, it gives you a different understanding what was taking place at that time. The information from the Library of Congress, different images, resources, materials. It's a wide range of different perspectives being shared.
Primary sources are really important because it makes it real.
I think primary source-based lessons are a good vehicle for culturally relevant pedagogy because students will be asking questions about these documents. Then they can talk about how these documents are relevant to what is happening within the society right now.
And think about why it's relevant and what they could do about it, what kind of action they can take in their community, in their classroom. Are all rules and laws fair?
They have to go out in this world, and if they only see what's inside their local communities, we are not doing them the service that they need. They need to be able to examine the world critically.
By centering their lives in the curriculum, by always providing opportunity for kids to examine and question the world around them and engaging them in rigorous and meaningful higher order thinking, I think it just turns them on.
And make them feel more engaged and more powerful.
When they know that you take them seriously and their work seriously and their culture seriously, they really do their best work.
Lessons and supporting materials are available on the Inquiry in the Upper Midwest Project website. Be sure to check out our other videos about CRP and primary sources.